Hey guys, welcome back to the next Rare Gaming Experiences. This, for those of you who are new to the channel, is where I take a look at rare and odd gaming experiences from the arcade, to the PC, all the way down to the home console, looking for the unusual titles that are well outside the norm. Ones that don't fit classification or only work due to the time period, the fact that it was an arcade game, or that it had a unique gimmick. Today's game is, well, unique. Well, because it was a unique premise. Now, this game had all the hype behind it, and huge promises in what you could do. And no, we're not talking about Fable today, we're actually going to talk about Spore. So, if you have a minute, sit back, grab a snack, and hang out as we dig into this one, the company that made it, and what it was all about. Spore was designed by Maxis, who those of you who are old enough probably already recognize. Those of you who might be a bit younger, well, they were well known for making innovative and unique simulation games. Some of those include SimCity series, where you built up a sprawling metropolis that spawned a long-running series with entries all the way up to 2013. They also created The Sims, one of their most well-known and recognized series that's probably one of the most iconic games in the cozy game space, allowing players to control the lives of beings known as Sims, adjusting their lives any way that they actually saw fit. Then along came Maxis' next big idea in the form of Spore. This was going to be one of the biggest and probably most ambitious titles that they ever made, and the hype was quite real given Maxis' track record, and, well, quite frankly, it was well-deserved hype. Rumors were spreading that it would be a mix of elements of SimCity and The Sims in one really ambitious package. So what was it really, and how did it play? And honestly, how was it perceived? Well, that's what we're going to find out today as we continue to dig into this one a little bit. Spore was, well, unique and odd in many ways. You see, you start off life as a single-celled organism that you design. As you swim around, consuming other organisms, you're given the opportunity to add new weapons to your single-celled organism that gives you an evolutionary advantage as you grow larger and larger. Think of this phase kind of like one of those phone games where you swim around eating other fish or animals till you grow to a new size, and then you can eat the things that would normally chase you before. It's actually entirely possible that those games kind of got that idea from this particular game. Once you grow large enough, you're given the option to design your character anew for its next stage of its development. This part of the game leaves you located on a singular island as you move out of the water and onto land. The stage often works in many ways like the last one, but in this one you're tasked with either befriending or causing the extinction of other species on the island. Doing either one will net you the reward of more DNA, which kind of acts like a currency in the game. With that process, it tends to proceed like normal, with you augmenting your creature and adding more arms, wings, and things like that, etc. Once you get past this initial land phase, you move into what's known as the travel phase. Now, this is where the character's design finally gets finalized and food replaces DNA as the primary currency in the game. From this point, you actually control a group of characters, not just one. You can harvest food, go attack other tribes, with a lot of your goals and dietary needs set up by how you designed your creature in earlier stages, leading you to being an herbivore, a carnivore, and omnivore, respectively. Weapons and tools will help you with gathering or hunting. Items like musical instruments can help you interact with other tribes and form alliances. After enough progression in this particular area, your tribe then moves into what's known as a civilization, where your goal becomes securing your place as the dominant force on the planet before traveling into space and meeting new races, which may ally or may attack as you work your way towards the black hole and the final boss of the game, Grox. This is a unique species of cybernetic aliens with a huge empire. If all this sounds like a lot, well, it kind of was, and it wasn't. Each phase of the game was kind of simple and actually pretty one-dimensional up until right around the last phase. Despite this, the game was actually pretty well received for its ambition and originality. It wasn't without its share of controversy though. One of the biggest ones was, well, one of the ones that annoyed me personally to no end, was the DRM in the game. You see, it had a version of secured ROM. Now, this was one of the earlier times I remember seeing this kind of aggressive DRM used in any game. Most often didn't have it at all on this stage. The biggest issue with this version of the DRM is that it only allowed you to install the game on 3 different machines. And on the surface, that sounds sort of reasonable. However, in practice, people found that slight changes to the hardware would constitute a change, and some people would run out of uses on the same computer if they upgraded their computer pretty aggressively, which a lot of enthusiasts did. This left many of us with a bad taste in our mouth for the game. Well, DRM and the game itself, and I was among those that was kind of annoyed on both fronts. It left a lot of us, myself included, afraid to reinstall the game at all, depending on what'll happen when you reinstall it. Is it going to run out of licenses or not? This, on top of how shallow a lot of it felt, left many people feeling slightly cheated with their purchase. It doesn't really negate how original the concept of the game was and how good it could have been had it been for more depth in the earlier stages of the game. This, sadly, would be one of the only entries in the series in the end of things. Not really because of anything to do with what I've said, but by the fact that Maxis was owned by EA, and it just didn't make enough money for them to want to invest much of anything into a sequel. So, outside of some expansion content that came out for the game shortly after its release in 2008, the series would pretty much not be heard of again outside of a small game for the Nintendo DS. However, what do you guys think of this one? Were any of you a fan of Spore or Maxis games in general? Which ones were some of your favorite ones? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, if you don't mind, please leave this video a like. If you see more of my content you actually like, consider following the channel. It actually helps me out a ton. Till we meet again though, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me, and until next time, happy gaming.